Hello everyone, this is Advanityananda and his online spiritual academy, which I call Advaita Atma Yoga Academy. Today I would like to speak a little bit about acceptance. What is acceptance? Means to feel okay with what is happening here and now. Regardless of what is happening, I feel okay. There is no problem. There is no resistance. What does it mean, resistance? I don't like what is happening. I would like to happen in another way what is happening, or not to happen at all what is happening. And because it's happening, I get angry, upset, irritated. I feel a little bit discomfort, dislike, discomfort, annoyance, anger, irritability, something like this, most of all. And then identify with the thoughts that arise in my mind because of this emotional state of dislike, resistance, anger. I don't like it. I don't want it. I don't want things to happen like this. And okay, we could say that it's natural things to happen as we want. But in case that they do not happen as we want, there is no meaning to react with anger and become frustrated, upset. There is nothing that can do these emotions. The only thing that happens is to suffer. It's a kind of suffering. Being in a state of anger, for example, is a state of suffering, painful state. And the more we identify with this state, the more we suffer. And this state clouds our mind and intellect, and we lose clarity, clear perception, and understanding. We cannot perceive things as they happen and to understand them deeply and take the appropriate for the situation actions, to make appropriate decisions and actions that can help us to change the situation, change what is happening, if it is needed and if it is possible. In all cases, reacting with anger, dislike, frustration, upset, irritation, complaining, or whatever negative emotion doesn't change the situation, and we are not in a more favorable state, inner and outer state. We remain in the same state, or we find ourselves in a worse state, because as I said, we lose clarity and reason. So we cannot assess the situation, evaluate the situation correctly, and make beneficial decisions and actions, and take actions that can help us to get rid of what, or to change what is happening. So negative emotions, in fact, doesn't change anything, but instead make us suffer, lose temperament, lose clarity, lose serenity, lose peace, and we fail to enjoy life moment to moment as it unfolds in front of our eyes, in our awareness. What is happening happens in our awareness. So instead of being in a state of peace and calmness and fullness, we experience anger, for example, because our ego, and especially lower rajas or tamasic ego, doesn't like what is happening, because our ego is programmed to have certain things and avoid other certain things, and it is programmed things to happen in a certain way. And also it is programmed to associate, or better depend, happiness and success to external things, situations, experiences, objects, and persons. I will be happy because of this, because I will get this, I will experience this, I will succeed in this. Our mind, our lower rajas or tamasic mind and ego, because ego is part of the mind, an aspect of the mind, are programmed by nature. I don't know. I have an idea, but I'm not 100% sure about this. Probably it's like this, but anyway, our mind and ego are programmed to depend our happiness and fulfillment to external things, to what we have, to what we will get, and to what we will achieve. So I can be happy only when we say, I'm happy because, when. In reality, happiness is in an inner state of consciousness. Wrong, mistake, not state. Is the nature of consciousness. Happiness is what we really are, is our essential nature. Fullness, happiness, plenitude, peace, love, and freedom is what we really are, and this always shines, this consciousness we are, always shines in our heart, we could say, the deepest, the center of our existence. This is heart, not the physical heart, not the emotional heart. In the center of our existence, in the deepest play of our being, shines consciousness. And consciousness by nature is freedom, peace, plenitude, wholeness, freedom, peace, love, and bliss. Bliss means a happiness beyond the happiness of the mind and causal body as well, of psychic energy, psychological happiness, we would say in general. It is the bliss of the self, always pure, unmixed, unaffected by whatever happens in our psyche or in the external world. Our divine essence, our consciousness is always free, it's always blissful, and the point is to realize this and connect consciously with this peace and freedom we are. This freedom is here and now, and every here and now present in us. But because of conditioning, programming of mind, our mind and attention are extroverted and search for fulfillment and happiness through experiences, sensory experiences and pleasure and achievements. And that's why we suffer. And that's why are developed in our psyche all these things we call egoistic tendencies or defects or flaws, weaknesses, attachment, identification, projection, and addictions, attachment. Desire, attachment, addiction is a process. All are interrelated. Desire, attachment, addiction. So although we are always free as consciousness, we are always free and whole, we fail to experience this wholeness and freedom because our mind is attached to external experiences and attached to the psychological reactions towards these experiences. And because of ignorance. Okay, now you know that you are already free and whole and blissful in your center. This is not enough. To experience this, we have to do something. You have to do something. You have to return your attention within yourselves, in the center of your existence. And also you have to do something to get rid of everything, for all programming that prevents you from experiencing this peace. And of course, every moment, any moment, you have to deal with one of them, not with all of them. There are many tendencies and conditioning, programming patterns, habits, psychological habits, mental, emotional habits, desires, etc. But all this does not come up, does not express themselves within us all together. Yes, all together. They come up one by one. Now we get angry, then the ego is expressed as dislike, as like, as impatience, as upsetness. I say upsetness. It's upset. As fear. So we have to deal always with one thing or two things, because sometimes fear and anger come up together, mixed. They are a mixture of emotions. So, but anyway, this is one state of one tendency, one emotion. Mostly we have to deal with one emotion, with one tendency, for example, lust or gluttony or greed, avarice, whatever it may be. And so it becomes easier. We cannot deal with all these tendencies together at the same time. It's easier to deal one by one with them, one by one. And every time, usually manifests in us one of them. So it is relatively easy to deal with them, depending on the situation and the power that this tendency expresses in us. Most of the time, the tendencies express themselves in a very subtle or moderate intensity, most of the time. But because of identification and because of some factors, they can express themselves fully or strongly in us. And then in these situations, in these occasions, it is quite difficult to deal with them. Of course, it's not impossible, but it becomes more difficult. But most of the time, the egoic tendencies express themselves in our psyche in a subtle way. So we can deal more easily. It is easier to deal with them most of the time, but to do this, in order to do this, we must be in a state of alertness, vigilance, and self-awareness. That means conscious connection with the inner silence, to be aware, attentive, and connected with the inner silence, vigilant. So, if I am in this state, I am in a position to notice the manifestation of the tendency in the very beginning of its movement. It comes up from here, from the heart, we would say, comes up and takes a form. and creates thoughts, a tendency. Comes up like an impulse, it assumes the form of an emotion and causes thoughts in the mind. So if I am deeply connected with the silence and attentive enough, I can catch this expression in the very beginning of this movement, so it becomes easier for me to avoid identification, to avoid identifying with the tendency, and to deal with it, and I can dissolve it with the power of mantra and prayer. Prayer, oh Divine Mother, dissolve this energy of anger, for example, and purify my mind and heart, and eliminate this energy of anger in my mind and heart and field of energy. Oh, divine light and love permeates my whole being and eliminates this anger energy. And fills me with peace, love, and light. I'm peace, love, and light. Oh, Divine Mother, oh God, dissolve, eliminate this anger energy, this lust energy, this fear energy in my mind and heart. Free my mind and heart from this energy. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. But the point is, we can succeed in this endeavor if we are deeply connected with the silent space of consciousness and be very attentive and detached from the tendency. Detached means to have a psychological distance, not to be fully identified with this tendency in the form of emotion and thinking. That means identified means I am them. I am these thoughts. I am this emotion. And I behave as if I was this emotion and these thoughts. But when I am connected with the inner silence, it is a distance. I have a distance from them. I get a distance. So I take, we could say, the position of the observer, of the witness of these thoughts and emotions. So I can deal with them more easily, depending on the connection, the quality of connection with the silence and attentiveness and clarity of mind, of course, and discernment. So there is always the possibility to experience peace and love and wholeness instead of experiencing all psychological turmoil, thoughts, emotions, desires, impulses, and all external sensory experiences, which in reality they are neutral. They become interesting, or indifferent or painful, depending on our programming. Most of experiences are neutral, but they appear to us as interesting or pleasurable because of our attachment and attitude and programming, subconscious programming. That's why the same thing, it is not so interesting for two people. But because our mind is so much conditioned, we don't realize this, and we externalize and project our inner experience to the objects and the sensory experiences. So we say this is good, this is bad. Our mind is good, our mind is bad, we could say. Or our mind is pleasurable or unpleasant, not the objects themselves. I say most. Okay, physically, some experience can be unpleasant. For example, if I touch fire, this burning sensation, it is painful. It's not pleasurable or pleasant, of course. But I speak mostly about psychological experience or experiences, not about physical experiences. So the majority of psychological experiences are only an expression of our programming and conditioning, nothing else. So that's why we can change our reactions or get rid of our reactions. So we can remain, for example, in the same situation, calm. Instead of being angry, of getting angry, I can remain calm. I can maintain my mind in reality, in calmness and serenity, because I'm not the mind. What I am is always peaceful and plain and whole and blissful. The mind can be upset or calm, disturbed or harmonious, agitated or harmonious or quiet. But our consciousness, which is our identity, is always peaceful, in peace, because it's peace in itself. So, in every moment, we have two options: or to pay attention to the ever-present freedom and peace and plenitude and wholeness within us, or to get lost in what is happening in the sensory world and identify with what is happening, and also be lost in our emotional, mental, intellectual states and expressions and formations. Every moment, any moment, we can choose to live connected with the inner peace and silence of the divine, or to lose ourselves in the experiences, whether are sensory experiences or psychological experiences. Of course, sensory experiences happen constantly. Psychological experiences happen constantly. But the point is, what is more interesting for me? What I want more to experience? Sensory experiences or the infinite eternal peace of the divine? This is the point. So simple. Every time we can choose to experience inner peace or sensory experiences and mental emotional reactions, or to get rid of these mental emotional reactions, to make them subside, to eliminate part of their energy through mantra and prayer, and connect with the inner peace, silence, and freedom, plenitude, bliss, and love of our divine essence. This is spiritual life and practice. This is to live for the higher purpose of life. So I wish you to realize your true nature, the ever free, peaceful and blissful consciousness you are. I wish you to realize this in this very life and live more and more in conscious connection or contact with this consciousness, this infinite, eternal consciousness, and liberate your mind and heart from all tendencies, programming, conditioning of all kinds, and rest in your beingness, in your consciousness, constantly and effortlessly. I wish you freedom, peace, love, and light. Namaste.